Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel. Apologies for a frog in my throat. Welcome back. Welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After our adventures in America Bomber last week, we're headed back to the world of Thadas as we played Dragon Age tabletop role-playing game by Free League Publishing. Now, admittedly, I've never been the biggest fan of Dragon Age, but this RPG is actually really interesting. So we've got our 3d6 here. The white die here is going to act as our dragon die, which we may need for some rolls. You're also going to see a D100 pop up in here, because I will also be using... I've also got the Mythic Game Master emulator that I'm using, and I think that is everything I need. Well, the only other thing I might need, evening Jay, I'm just getting everything set up for what I need tonight. I might need 60 12s, and I've actually got a bag of those set aside. Let me see if I can dig them up here. Here we go. That was easy. The reason I might need these 60 12s is because I've also got another toolbox in here. So I might be using these 60 12s if we need to flesh something out, because I'll be using because I've got the Solo Adventures toolbox off of Drive-Thru RPG by Paul Bimler that I might be using as well. So last time we left off, and it's been quite a while since we played Dragon Age, last time we picked up, we'd finally taken Adana. I've got her character sheet off shot that I'll be keeping track of. So we finally managed to get Adana to meet up with her mage trainer in the tower outside of the city. But we also, actually Ivana was her mage trainer, if I remember correctly. There we go. I do have a character sheet. I do have a character set for her as well that I generated off of ChatGPT, along with an apothecary that she'd been traveling with. Now, to explain how Mythic works before we actually jump into the scene, first of all, we're going to generate a scene, and I know what the scene's going to start with. But what we're going to do is we're going to roll on what's known as the fate chart. This is the big thing in Dragon Age, in Mythic, I should say, where based on the chaos rank, once we form a yes or no question, that's where the D100 is going to come into play. So the example I always use on here, there's also a couple of other numbers that you might be able to see on here. So let's look at this 50-50 real quick. If we can zoom in on that, you'll see two smaller numbers here. That will be, I believe, if the roll is within the percentage roll, it's yes. If you roll above, it's an exceptional yes. So in this case, if we're looking at a chaos rank 5 with 50-50 odds, 91 is what's known as, 91 and up would be an exceptional yes, whereas 10 and below is an exceptional no. So in order to explain how that works, let's take an example question. Let's say we're in a post-apocalyptic suburban situation and we come across a car of some kind. So the question, evening jester, I'm just explaining the premise behind Mythic and how that works. So let's say we come up on this car in a post-apocalyptic suburban situation. And I need English lessons. Anyway, we find this car. Let's say we've got the keys available for the sake of the argument. The question we want to ask is does the car open for? We have the keys available, so the car opens. So the car would open for us. So the question we would want to put to Mythic in this case is does the car start? In this case, we rolled a 68. So because we're above. Since we rolled above, then it would be no. Let's say that 68 was actually a 98. That would be what's known as an extraordinary no. So we'd get something like, say, the car doesn't start and it's booby-trapped or something like that. So an extraordinary no would essentially be an extra penalty that you take on top of that. Now let's reverse that and say the roll was a 08. That would be an extraordinary yes. So this would be something to the effect of the car starts and there's a full tank of gas, or the car starts and there's a full trunk of supplies, something like that. In other systems that you might encounter what's known as a yes but or a no but. Essentially, the but there would temper either the benefit or the penalty. So if we had Mythic doesn't use that, but there are other systems that do. So in the case of the car example again, a yes but would be something to the effect of, yes, the car starts, but there's no gas in the tank. Or, yes, the car starts, but there's nothing in the trunk. No supplies or anything like that. Whereas you take the no, whereas a no but would be the exact opposite of that, where it's no, but there's a trunk full of supplies in the trunk, or there's no, but there's a full trunk of supplies. Something like that. So hopefully that makes sense on how that works. As far as mythic in particular, we're going to generate a scene, then we're going to play out the scene using our yes-no questions to go through the scene, tell the story, and eventually something might happen. So we're starting here. Last time we picked up, I think there was something about a... Let's see, arguing over an invite to a party. But I think earlier in the story, if I remember correctly, there was something about wolves I thought there was something about wolves attacking. I had that in my head for some reason. Looks like we got attacked by a wolf in an earlier scene, but I don't think anything happened with that. So, with that in mind, we're going to start our scene in the Mage Tower, in our Mage Tower with our trainer. So the first thing we need to roll for is the cast factor here is still a 5. So cast factor of 5, which brings us back to... Actually, that doesn't bring us back to the fate table. What it does do is it will have us roll a single d10, so we see if the scene is going to play out as we expect it to. On a roll of a... I believe if you roll cast factor or less, let me double check that. Cast factor or less means the scene plays out as we expect it to, whereas if we roll higher than that, then the scene doesn't play out as we expect. I'm just double checking that because again, it's been a while since I've played this. So cast factor, greater likelihood of a running scenes. Here we go. So we set the scene, and then we roll for the. Then here we roll for the chaos factor. So if we get a value within the chaos factor, like I said, yep, I do have that straight. So chaos factor or lower, then we have then the scene plays out as expected. Actually, no, I take that back. Chaos factor and under modifies the scene setup, whereas above means the scene plays out as expected. So let's see if the scene's going to play out as we expect it. What I'm expecting is for a quiet day of travel, maybe we get attacked along the way. As we're outside the Mage Tower. We're probably just outside of Amaranthine, which is, I'll bring the map of Thedas up, of Ferelden up here. So we're actually up here. We're actually somewhere up on this island here, just outside of Amaranthine. But we've got that Mayor's Ball that we're looking at. So we're going to roll the die to see if the scene plays out as we expect it to. That's a 1, so we very much are not having the scene play out as we expect. And a 1, we have an altered scene. So the question is, how does the scene get altered, and where does it get altered? And it would help if I could spell altered correctly. Okay. Now. Right. Use logic to figure out how. So we're probably going to have some kind of turmoil, whether... We're going to have some kind of turmoil, and I think the most logical way that the scene's going to be altered is that we're going to go downstairs. So say we go downstairs and check the carriage to go back, check the carriage and the boat. One of the two at least is going to be damaged or potentially unusable, potentially both of them. So, yeah, I think that's where we're going to start. So we actually start in the Mage Tower as Adana Brightmare, the elven circle mage that we've been running with, wakes up in the Mage Tower. We go out, interact with Sabrina and Ivana. Ivana being the mage trainer, Sabrina being her apothecary friend, and we're asking about the ball that we're going to. Actually, the question that we should ask is: Is Adana expected to go to this as well? So let's put that to Mythic as our first question of the scene. Are we expected to go? And if you guys have any suggestions on how the story should go as we're fleshing it out. Feel free to weigh in the chat, because this is, as much as this is an experience for you guys to see how this works, we can all help tell the story together. So the first question that we're asking is, are we expected to go? I'm going to call this a 50-50 likelihood. That's a 39, so yes, we are expected to be in attendance. The next question I have is why? And in order to figure out why we're being expected to be in attendance, I've got a keywords table for that. So this is a little bit of a wider question. And the way we're going to go to the keywords table is, if you're familiar with season ticket baseball, we're going to roll it season ticket style. We'll take I need the D100, and we'll take we actually need a D8 for this. So on a 1, we're going to take from 100 to 199, so on and so forth, except for the 8 being 0 to 99. So I want to see if we can figure out why we're expected to be in attendance, and maybe what we should expect to get out of this mayor's ball. All right, that is a 66. So curiosity. Curiosity. Maybe we'll roll one more keyword, but I can definitely do something with curiosity. That is a 581. 581 success. Curiosity, success, and one more. Maybe something to tell us about what the success is. A 351. Heat. Curiosity, success, and heat. Maybe we heard something about maybe it's been unseasonably hot in Amaranthine. Let me see if there's actually something about that. Maybe it's been unseasonably hot in Amaranthine, and we've heard something about a way to control the heat. So we're going to this ball to maybe try to learn a little bit more about that. Let's see, Ferelden. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about the land here. Maybe this will give me some ideas. Temperate and fertile country. Okay, so yeah, that's probably where we want to go with this. So I think that's what we're going to go with. It's been unseasonably hot. And a new measure of some kind to control the heat. And that might be something we picked out in the last scene when we were eavesdropping on the argument between Ivana and Sabrina, going through all of that. So that's I think that's what we heard them arguing about in the previous scene. The next question I want to put, though, we're expected to be in attendance, is this ball in the immediate vicinity. I'm going to take a drink of water, because this is actually driving me nuts with my voice doing all kinds of these crazy things. Okay. So next question I want to put to Mythic is, I was going somewhere with that, and then my voice interrupted me a little bit. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask. Is the ball coming up soon? So we know we're expected to be there, but the question, like I said, is, and I just had my D100s right here. So is this ball coming up soon? 91. No, this actually isn't coming up soon. That's an extraordinary no. So this is maybe something that is, say, a month away. I was thinking a normal yes would be something like it's maybe a week away. Actually, wait a minute. If the roll is within the percentage range, if you roll above, so it's an extraordinary no. I was thinking a yes would be it's within about the next week or so, let's say. Then an extraordinary yes would have been it's the same day. Whereas an extraordinary no, I'm going to say it's about a month away. But we do need to go into town. But we overhear them say that we need to go into town for supplies. Perhaps, maybe they're running low on something. So Ivana and Sabrina want me to travel with them. So I think the next question we're going to put is as we head downstairs. So we head downstairs. We're going to check out everything because we need to take a carriage to get to the shoreline, and then a boat to get back into Amaranthine. Then we'll need to meet up with a carriage or something along the way there. So, or maybe we just take the carriage on the boat with us. So the first thing we're going to look at is the carriage and see if the carriage is working. Sorry if I go silent, I'm just making some notes. So that's the first question we're going to ask is if the carriage is working or not. If everything is okay with the carriage. So yeah, let's roll that. 73. Okay, this is where, and you were using 50-50 odds. So I think this is what's going to happen. So no, something's happened. Carriage is well, actually, so basically we get down there and we get down to the carriage and we see that it's disabled somehow. It's obviously not going anywhere. So we know the carriage is disabled. The question is why? I think the first question we're going to ask is, this was probably a horse-drawn carriage most likely, since an apothecary and a mage trainer are somewhat well off in a town, working in a town like Amaranthine, especially if Ivana, our mage trainer, has enough resources to maintain a tower all to herself. So the question is, are the horses still there? And given that the carriage is disabled, I'm going to say it's unlikely. So that's going to change my numbers. We're going to call that a likely, since we already know that the carriage. I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit. We already know that the carriage is disabled. So I figure it's a little bit better likelihood that the horses are not there. So let's see what we can do with that. So this is are the horses still there? And we're calling it a likely. So let me make a quick note of that. Horses there. Actually, horses there, we should call that unlikely, since I'm kind of talking myself around this word salad. So are the horses still there? 12. Somewhat to our surprise as we go down to check, the horses... Oh, that's an extraordinary yes, actually. So the horses are still there. They haven't been tampered with. So as we get down to the carriage, we see that not only are the horses there, but they actually look to be in very good shape. The problem looks to be on the carriage itself, where maybe it's the wheels that have been taken off. Horses there, excellent shape. Which doesn't surprise me which again, given that we've got our mage trainer here, so horses there unlikely. Actually, a 12 is yes that the horses are there. I just went through again. Horses there. They seem to be in decent shape, I would say. The wheels are what's missing, so... The wheels are what's missing, and that's how the carriage has been disabled, that we're not able to travel there. So now we should probably figure out, okay, why are the... So what happened to the wheels? Likely that they were stolen. So the question now becomes, by who? Let's see if we can get some keywords to maybe tell us. So let's roll a couple keywords, see if that'll give me some ideas of why the wheels have been stolen. Or either why they've been stolen or who took them. Maybe both, potentially. Let's see, that's a 362. 362 communion. Not sure I like that, but let's try it again. Let's try another keyword. 347 gap. Maybe one more, because I'm not sure I like that communion. Gap, potentially. Maybe a jealous rival, perhaps. 268. Luck. So obviously we've got bad luck of some kind to go through this. Let's see. Communion, gap, luck. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe somebody jealous of Ivana and or Sabrina has stolen the wheels off of our carriage to make sure we can't get anywhere. That still doesn't really answer much of the motive, but I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually roll I'm going to roll a check with arcane lore to see if I can find anything. So that doesn't really tell me much about so communion gap luck doesn't really tell me much about that. But let's see if let's roll an arcane lore check, or that's actually going to be a cunning. Yeah, let's roll a cunning check with arcane lore focus. So we're going to add a 3. I believe it's at a 3. Let me double check how skill checks work, because it has been a while. Let's see here. Let's see. Test, maybe. Skillful casting. Maybe it's under check. No. That doesn't make any level of sense. Let's see, maybe not abilities. Probably when we get into more playing the game. Classes. Ability tests. That would be helpful. That would be probably a good place to look. Okay, so 3d6 plus ability plus focus. Rolls 3d6, gets a 10. Adds dexterity of 3. Okay. Now that I'm done rambling on that, so we roll the 3d6 plus the ability plus focus. So we've got a cunning of 3 plus a 2 for an arcane lore focus. Alright, that is a 9, 11, plus 3 is 14, plus 2 is 16. So we're able to pick up magical residue from the axle of some kind, which tells me that the wheels were magically stolen in some way. And I think this probably makes more sense to see what we sense in terms of the magic, since we can obviously see a little bit more of that. So now we want to go to the keywords table again to see about what kind of magical keywords we can pick out of this. A 190 says argument. Actually, argument might work. Maybe somebody's a little bit more. Maybe there was an argument there, and maybe there was an argument there of, do we want to do more, or is this all we want to do, perhaps? 344. 344 give. Whoa, hold on. Guard the tripod there. Hold on just a second. There we are. So argument give. That's I'm going to re-roll that because there's no 800, there's no 000 keyword. 528. Portal. Okay, that I can work with. So so maybe we pick out remnants of a portal of some kind. So we can pick out remnants of a portal around near the area. There was an argument here. We can sense the argument in the magical runes saying, okay, maybe whoever was stealing this wanted to do more than just take the wheels, but there was an argument for restraint. The next question I have from that is, can we pick out the remnants of the portal and maybe be able to follow it through? Is there enough there to follow through? So enough portal to follow. And I'm going to call this a 50-50 roll. That's a 61, so just barely no. So there's not enough of the portal there that we can really follow that through, which probably means we're going to have to try to make a new portal, or more likely find new wheels. And unfortunately, that's probably going to take a foot trip into Amaranthine. That's going to take a foot trip to the shoreline, and then we'll have to take the boat back into Amaranthine. Excuse me. So I think that's what we're going to go with. So we go down to the shoreline, get onto our boat. Question now is, do we get attacked at sea? And I'm going to call it... I'm going to say it's likely that we get attacked at sea. That's a 47, so we are going to end up getting attacked. So yes, we get attacked. The question is by what? Let's go key. Let's use keywords again. Maybe that'll give us an idea of what's attacking us. All right, that is 13 adventurers. Okay, so this is probably going to end up being. So my first thought with adventurers is this is probably a band of pirates of some kind. 507. Run down. Maybe the ship is fairly run down. So adventurers, run down. And that is a 164. 164 tunnel. Okay, so adventurers and rundown that's easy enough to do. There should be NPCs in here. There should be enemies, I should say, for a band of pirates. Okay, so I'm assuming there's something like a bestiary in here. Let's see, Secrets of the Das, adversaries. That's probably a good place to start. Let's see, I don't want Darkspawn. Beasts of the Das. Peoples of the Das. Okay. We can, well, I don't know if I want to work with Crazed Apostates with 25 HP. That seems like a little much. And given that I'm thinking the ship's going to be fairly run down, we probably don't want something too strong. Templars are probably out as well. Or maybe I'm just underestimating how much damage we're capable of cranking out. So we definitely want minor threats. I think we're going to go with... So we've definitely got a band of... So I'm thinking this is going to be a band of pirates of some kind. I just need to find something weak enough that we can probably work with. Yeah, I think it's going to be a bunch of crazed apostates. The question is, how many of them are we encountering here? We've got 5 crazed apostates. Oh, never mind. I want something completely at sea. Actually, I think that map will do. Did I just skip over that map? Actually, I'd rather be ship to ship if I can. And that's, I don't want that. All right, fine. Total of 7 NPC. I mean, a total of 7 here. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Okay. Actually, I need one more if Sabrina was traveling with us as well. Grief, get in there. Okay. I pulled out one more. Sorry, you guys can probably hear my muttering in the background here as I'm getting everything set up for this battle scene. Hold on. Let's see that. Okay, so yeah. The joys of streaming live, right? First everything freezes on me, and then the camera locks up. Oh wait, I think I already had 8 out. Never mind, looks like I pulled out 1 too many. Okay. So as you can probably see by the map I've selected, I changed the story a little bit of the scene, where rather than being attacked at sea, we're being attacked right after we get into Amaranthine. So I'm going to say... Let's see. So these are going to be our 3... These are going to be our characters. So I'm going to use this... I'm going to use this standee to represent... Yes, that's the map we're going for. We're at the port as we've just gotten back into Amaranthine and we're being attacked by these crazed apostates. So I'm going to use this standee to represent Adana. This standee is going to be Ivana, and this one is going to be Sabrina the Apothecary. At least I'm assuming that Sabrina is able to fight. Let's see, I've got their character sheets as well. I just need to fish them out here. And I will say, as I've gotten into solo RPGs and explored more of them, these map books that I've got are so handy. Saves me from having to have a lot of terrain. Let's see, that's the warrior. I don't need him. Ah, here we are. Let's see. Personality, interests and skills, connections. Somehow she doesn't have any weapons or attacks of any kind. Well, we can probably figure something out. And actually, Sabrina's actually got some sea knowledge, so maybe we can work that in to the scene. As for Ivana, oh yeah, I think we've got easy stuff here that we can work with. We can probably work with her having a stronger flame blast a stronger flame blast spell than what we've got. So Adana, I should probably mention, is level 2. I did level her up from the last time that we were streaming. The last time we streamed Dragon Age. So these 5 are going to be... Maybe they're sailing in over here, and we've got our 5 apostates over here, and we realize something crazy is going on. So now we're about to set up for our combat scene, and actually this last standee can get pulled up and put back away since I rolled a 5 when I was determining how many apostates I was going to have. So now I've got to refresh my memory on, because we're getting about to that point. Let's see, there should be a combat encounter. Taking actions. Okay, so now we are into action time. A dexterity initiative test. So I need to keep this on my crazed apostates. So I know, here we go. I'll throw a bookmark in here on the apostate. So we're rolling dexterity. And I don't have any stats. We'll say dexterity for both of these two is a 5, I guess we'll say, for both of them. So I'm going to get some... I've actually got some scratch paper right here I can use. Yep, we'll just use this. So this will be initiative order. Okay, so we're going to roll for... Let's see, the apostates have dexterity of 0, so I'll roll for each of them. So Crazed Apostate 1. We'll say this is Crazed Apostate 1. I'm actually going to get some small dice so I can distinguish which one is which. So we'll call that 1, 2, 3, 4. God bless it all. Hang on. I think the camera just locked up on me again. Delightful. Wonderful. And 5. Okay, so Crazed Apostate 1, the initiative value for him is going to be a 12. And Sabrina. Okay, so Crazed Apostate 2, which is the one up here, rolled an 11. Crazed Apostate 3, which is down here, rolls a 9. Their initiative is getting progressively worse, which I don't mind that in the slightest. Then we've got Crazed Apostate 4. Okay, that was a pretty good roll. That's a 15. And Crazed Apostate 5. That is an 11. And now Adana's got a 2 to her dexterity. So we'll see what she's able to pull off. Wow, that's a good initiative roll. That's a 16. So we might all get to act before they do, before any of them do. Then we've got Ivana, which is this one right here, this standee. Let's see, 10, also a 16. And Sabrina is a 13. So, yep, we will all get to act before any of them do. And I'm going to say each hex on here is, I think each hex on here I've used as being 1 foot or 1 yard. So that's what we'll stick with. Now we're all set to go through our combat. And I believe moving counts as a major action. I mean, move up to half your speed and then make a melee attack, which we're not going to do. So we're going to run up to double our speed in yards. So in this case, Adana has a move of... I don't think we ever established her move. I've got a pencil right here. So her move speed as an elf, or is that going to be based on... Actually, Circle Mage. Circle Mage give any kind of... Let's see. Elf Circle Mage. It looks like it's going to be more based on racial bonuses, so let me go figure out her movement speed. Let's see. So I think we went... No, that's not what I'm looking for here. This is actually kind of annoying. Oh, defense and speed. Let's see, so speed is 12 plus dexterity minus armor penalty. So 12 plus her dexterity, which is 2, so 14. So 14 feet is what we get to move. So move is... Yeah. So charge is then 7. And run is 28. And that's all in yards. So we're saying each of these hexes is 1 yard. So Adana is going to start off by moving off the boat. So she's going to run her Is that what we're going to do? Yes, we're going to use her move points. Actually, we're going to use that as a minor action, so we're going to move up to her speed in yards. So we'll move 7 yards. So we'll move, what did we say? We'll move 14 yards. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so now we're going to take a major action to take a ranged attack, which is going to be casting her Arcane Lance. And to do that, I believe it's a skill check on her. I believe that's going to be a skill check on her magic. So she's got a +4 to that. We're attacking Crazed Apostate 3. And what do we need to hit? I believe there should be an armor class on that or something to that effect. Put another bookmark in here. Has a defense of 10, so we need to exceed that to hit him. Wow, that was an absolutely terrible roll. As a 4 plus 2 is actually a +4 is an 8. So even with the +4 modifier, we still miss, and that was our major attack. So Adana's done. As for Ivana, we're reasoning that her Arcane Lance is going to be more powerful. She will say also has a move of... we'll give her a move of 14 yards as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14. She's going to go after Crazed Apostate number... Who's the first one that's going to move? 4. So we're going to aim back here. We'll say our Arcane Lance is stronger, so we'll say our magic is like a 5 or a 6. Which that will be plenty to hit, so she'll do 2d6 plus... We'll say she does 2d6 plus minus magic defense. Crazed Apostates don't have any magic defense. So 9 damage to Crazed Apostate. What did we say? 4 was the one she was going after. They have 25 health. So that, what did you say? 12, so 9 damage. So actually, let's get... And then Adana has 32. So Crazed Apostate 4 is now taking 9 damage. So that brings him down to 16. Then Sabrina, who probably has a quarterstaff of some kind, she'll move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Actually, Sabrina, never mind. Sabrina has an initiative of 13, so she has to wait for at least a Crazed Apostate 4 to attack. And he's going to attack from... Who drops to 10 or less can use the Blood Wound spell. Okay. So what is Crazed Apostate 4 going to do? He is going to... Actually, this is probably where the... Let me see if the Solo Adventurer's Toolkit should have some humanoid random attack tables. Let me look here. Big Bad, Combat, and Monster Tactics. This is probably a good place to start with. Unfortunately, the Solo Adventurer's Toolbox, which is what I'm trying to get into, is very massive. Okay, D100 plus menace points. So right now we're going to assume everything's got 0 menace points. So we're going to roll a D100 for that. That is a 3. So it's going to move for tactical advantage and try to attack. Gets itself into the... That makes the most sense. So it's going to run up to... So what does he have a speed of? His speed is 10. So the closest one he can get to right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Closest one he can get to right now is Ivana, and then he'll try to attack with that. Ivana, being our mage trainer, is going to have a little bit higher defense. We'll say she's got a defense of 13, and using the quarterstaff, he's got an attack of +2. Which a 9 + 2 is 11. That won't hit Ivana. So we're all done there. As for Sabrina, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, fortifying our positions. So now we have to go through the rest of the apostates here. We've got Crazed Apostate 1. Let's see what he's doing. 70. Use most powerful feature or take cover and make a ranged attack. So he... Actually, will he be able to retreat? Actually, he's already in cover, so he's going to make a ranged attack using his Arcane Lance with a plus... actually, does the Arcane Lance give him any kind of range? It might not. Let's see if there's an item table in here. Tell me that. There should be. Okay. Let's see. Game. Actually, there might be over here in the DM screen. Maybe there isn't actually. That's probably a spell now that I think about it. With a name like Arcane Lance seems likely to be a spell. So let's go into Magic and see if that gives me any insight. Let's see. Magic, here we are. Arcane Bolt. I was expecting an arcane lance of some kind. Probably is a... Well, actually, we'll say an Arcane Bolt is what he uses. So the Arcane Bolt, he will aim that at... Grab another bookmark here so I can keep that close. So an Arcane Bolt of... So target number is 10 to try to cast a spell. To a visible target within 30 yards. So he is going to aim at Ivana. Target number is a 10, trying to cast a spell. Actually, target number is a 10 to try to cast a spell. Okay, that's just barely a 10, but that will cast the spell. So we don't have any kind of magical resistance, I don't think. No. So that means we are taking. So that means Adana is taking damage. The only question is how much, and that'll be a dexterity, acrobatics versus spell power. So a dexterity test is going to be a... Is that the test to resist? Acquire tests from the target. Details the type of... Okay, so if the target makes a... Okay, so we do have to make a dexterity test against the spell, and we've got a +2 on that, but we don't have the acrobatics focus. Arcane Bolt inflicts 2d6 with bonus damage equal to the casting roll's dragon die. The dragon die was a 1, I believe. That's what we'll go with. So our test is a 12-13, so that means we makes a successful versus spell power. What's the spell power for the Crazed Apostates? Spell power for them is a 13, so we just barely make the roll, which means we only take 1d6 damage, which means we'll take 5 + 1, 6 damage. So Adana is down to 26. Alright, so that was Crazed Apostate 1 going. Now we need to do 2 and 5. So Crazed Apostate 2 up here. A 37. 37 says use a secondary feature or attack. It is also in range, so it will cast an Arcane Bolt as well. This one is going to aim at Ivana. So Ivana is going to take a roll, and it will actually fail. It'll actually fail to cast the spell this time, so nothing will happen to Ivana. 5 will also cast at Ivana. Actually, that's Sabrina. That'll definitely cast. And then the dragon die is a 5, so I'll make a note of that. And then Sabrina's got to make a test against that. Probably a +3 or 4. We'll say +3. Which means a 9 + 3 is 12. That's a successful test, so only 1d6 damage plus the 5 on the dragon die. 2 + 5 is 7 damage for Sabrina, so that brings her down to 33. Let's see, that was Crazed Apostate 1. Actually, that was Crazed Apostate 5. And now 3 is down here. '56 says, move and attack nearest enemy using most powerful method or attack. So the Crazed Apostate's actually going to attack Adana using the Arcane Bolt. And yeah, that's going to definitely do damage. So this time we've got a 4 on the dragon die. And then we have to make a test of Dexterity Acrobatics against the spell power. So that was a +2. Which we pass, so we'll only take 1d6 of damage, plus the 4 from the dragon die. That's 3 + 4 is another 7 damage. So Adana is down to 19. And then that's the round, so now we're into a new round. Yikes. I'm thinking Adana's probably going to want to try to retreat here. The question is, what order does everything happen in? So if we take a... So does the major action... You can take a major and a minor, or 2 minor actions, and in any order. Okay. So we're going to have Adana start off with an Arcane Lance at Crazed Apostate 1. She's going to make her test of... right, Arcane Lance? Yes. So let's double check how the Arcane Lance works. Okay, that's not really giving me much to go on here. Let's see here. At least I was expecting that to be a spell. Maybe it is a spell and I'm just not finding it here. Spells, not spell stunts. That's not what I'm after here. Magic. Blood magic, that's definitely not what I'm after. Hold on, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to see if they can find information about Arcane Lance. Okay. Let's see. Signature option for mages. Mage must be holding a staff or treated like a ranged attack roll. Okay, no mana, it's a free attack. Okay. So, yeah. Alright, so we're using Arcane Lance to aim at Crazed Apostate 3. And we do have a staff. So we have to roll against the spell power of a 13. Which a 9 plus 2 is actually 9 plus 4 is 13. So we'll just barely, actually plus 2 is 15. So we'll just barely hit it. Which is, what did we say? 1d6 plus magic. That's a 5 plus 1 is, actually that's a 5 plus 4 is 9 damage on Apostate 3. So that'll bring it down to 16. And then we'll send Adana down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to have her hideout down there. She got a little bit banged up there, but not too much. Then we go to Ivana, who's up here. We'll see if we can work on taking out Crazed Apostate 3, I think, which is over here. So she's also got her Arcane Lance, which we were saying that was plus 4. Which that'll definitely hit that. So a 2d6 plus 4. 11 plus 4 is 15. So that'll bring Crazed Apostate 3 down to 1. Which Crazed Apostate 3 now has Blood Wound spell and plus 1 magic and blood magic focus. So we're going to see if we can take out Crazed Apostate 3 on our next turn. But our next turn is going to Crazed Apostate 4. So let's see what Crazed Apostate 4 is doing with Sabrina right in his face. That's a cocked D10. 73. 73 says most powerful feature, or take cover and make a ranged attack. So the most powerful feature is probably the Arcane Bolt. So she'll use that. So that Apostate will use that on Sabrina, which will be a casting check. Needs to hit a 10 to cast it. Which that's a 9, so it actually won't cast. Sabrina's going to swing her quarterstaff at this Apostate. So we've got to roll a melee check for that. The attack is I don't think there's a minimum attack here, so she's just going to swing with the quarterstaff. And is there any kind of dodge here? Oh, defense of 10. So we're going to roll for that. Which a 9 won't get past that, so nothing happening there. And now we have to go through the rest of the Crazed Apostates. So Crazed Apostate 1. 76. Says he's using most powerful feature, which again is the Arcane Bolt. He'll aim that at Sabrina since Sabrina's closest. Which that will cast, and now 4 is the Dragon die. And I've already got that noted, so Sabrina needs to pass a magic check, which is plus 3. Which, oh yeah, she'll pass that, so she'll only take 1d6. Which is 1 plus 4 is 5 damage to Sabrina. 28 damage, so that is Crazed Apostate 1 done. Then we've got Crazed Apostate 2, who's also going to aim an Arcane Bolt at Sabrina. How much mana do these guys even have? 24 mana, and each Arcane Bolt only costs 2. That's a 9, so that one won't... I don't believe they have a magic modifier of any kind. Actually, yes, they do. A 3, so that actually will go off. 2 is our Dragon die this time. And Sabrina will try to resist that. Which that actually won't resist, so that'll be 2d6 plus the Dragon die from the cast. Ouch! So 12 plus 2 is 14 damage on poor Sabrina. That'll cut her health in half. Yikes. Okay, that was Crazed Apostate 2. Now for 5, he'll do the same thing. Casting the Arcane Bolt again. This time it won't go off, thankfully, so no resist check needed. And then 5... Actually, then we've got 3 who's at 1, so let's see what he's doing. 59. Move and attack nearest enemy using most powerful method or just attack. Well, the Arcane Bolt, that's Crazed Apostate 3 that we're rolling, is going to aim at Sabrina again. That's an 8, so no cast there. Which is fortunate for us, because we are very much getting in a bad way here. Let's see, so we're back to the top of the initiative order. Adana is going to step out here, 2, 3, and cast an Arcane Lance at this Crazed Apostate number. Actually, can we hit 3 and try to kill him? Yes, we can, so let's try that. So the Arcane Lance, 2, 3, 4, 9, plus 4 is 13. That will hit. So 1d6 plus magic. Anything we roll here will take out Crazed Apostate 2. 5 plus 4 is 9. So Crazed Apostate 3 is dead. So this one is off the map. Okay. So that brings us back down to Ivana. Ivana is going to move here and aim her Arcane Lance at Crazed Apostate 1. Need to get past 10. Which that will definitely do that. So 2d6 plus her magic, which we said was 4. So 4 plus 4 is 8 damage on Crazed Apostate 1. As Kristoff now stops by here as we're continuing here with Dragon Age, she's going to move in front of Adana, actually, to try to intercept some attacks. So now we go into our apostates. Crazed Apostate 4 is up first up here. Let's see what he's doing. 49 is moving and attacking using the most powerful method or attacking. It's just going to be Sabrina with another Arcane Bolt. This is to cast the spell, and yep, it'll cast. 4 is our dragon die. Hopefully Sabrina can resist this. That is a 7-11, just barely resist it. 5, though, plus 4 is 9, so Sabrina's down to 5 HP. Yowza. Let's see, speaking of Sabrina, I think she's going to retreat. She's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 13, 14. She needs to get out of there. And then she's probably got... does she have any kind of healing? So let's ask Mythic that. Given that she's an apothecary, I would think it's extremely likely she's got some kind of healing remedy. So we're going to call it Sure Thing. That's okay. So yeah, she's got all kinds of good healing stuff with her, including some potions. She'll take one of them and go back up to full health. Basically, like she had almost like she had foresight on how this was going to go. So now we're back to the apothecaries. Crazed Apothecary 1, or Crazed Apostate 1. That's a 22. 22 says shove or help or attack. I think it probably makes the most sense to attack. He can get to either Ivana or Adana. I'm going to say odds he goes after Ivana, evens goes after Adana. That's evens, he's going after Adana with an Adana with an arcane bolt. Which that will cast it. And now Adana needs to try to resist with a magic of +4. That'll just barely resist, but it will resist the same. And I think the dragon die, actually we're going to re-roll. We'll call that the dragon die, even though it wasn't really the dragon die. So a 5 on the dragon die, which means it does 2d6 plus dragon die. 8 plus 5 is 13 damage. Yikes, Adana's down to 6. Which may have our adventure end sooner than I would like. That was an Apostate 2 we did. What is 5 doing? 10 is probably attacking. Yeah. That's going to move or attack. And once again, we'll do the same roll. Odds is going after Ivana. Evens going after Adana. Odds this time it's going after Ivana. Another arcane bolt, which it will not cast, so that's very welcome. And then we took out Crazed Apostate 3, so that brings us back to the top of a new round. Okay, Adana we need to work on some of these guys. And actually, she's got a new Flame Blast that we might want to try out here. Which the Flame Blast is target number of 12. That would be Dex Acrobatics versus Spell Power. Oh, well, let's test out the Flame Blast. And the mana, I believe, was 18. Right, so Flame Blast says... Right. Gouts of blazing fire erupt from your outstretched hands, burning nearby targets. Flame Blast is 8 yards long and 2 yards wide. Anybody hit by it takes 2d6 plus 1 damage. Targets that make a successful Dexterity Acrobatics test versus Spell Power only take 1d6 plus 1 damage. So she's going to aim the... Actually, she's going to move... where's she going to move? Because I want to hit as many targets as I can with this. Including Crazed Apostate 4. So I definitely want to make sure... I definitely want to be somewhere where these are going to get hit. Actually, 5 is still at full strength, so I think she's going to step out over here. Yeah. She's putting herself at risk, but it's something of a calculated gamble. So she's going to aim a Flame Blast. I'm going to grab different dice for this. So this one's going to go... So these two D12s that I'm marking are the starting squares of the spell. Nope. So do we need to note the dragon die for this one? We do not. And then it'll go seven more rows back. So essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this spell would end back here, and we've got 3 mana that we're spending to cast this. We've got a +4 modifier, and our target number is a 12. That is a 9 plus 4 is 13, so she will cast it. And now we need to roll for their Dexterity Acrobatics against our spell power, against my spell power of a... Our spell power is a... Target number is... Okay, so... Yeah, we cast the spell, and against our spell power, that is a... Actually, is that an 18? That can't be. How do we determine our spell power? 10 plus magic plus focus. Okay, so our spell power is a 16, so they've got to pass a 16. So Crazed Apostate 1 definitely does not. Crazed Apostate 2 also doesn't pass. Crazed Apostate 4 wow, also fails miserably. So everybody is taking 2d6 plus 1 damage. Which, is that going to kill anybody? Could kill... actually, no, it's not going to kill anybody. No, it'll just put... the best it'll do is put Crazed Apostate 4 in peril. 7, so 8 damage on 1, 2, and 4. So that'll bring 1 down to 9, give him access to the blood magic. 2 will take 9 as well. No, 8 actually, bring him down to 17. And 4 will take 8 as well, which will cut his health in half. Okay. Now, Ivana, I want to try to take out one of these apostates if I can. Let's go for Crazed Apostate 1 next. So let's use an Arcane Lance here. So we'll use her Arcane Lance against his defense of a 10. Oh yeah, that'll cast. Then 2d6 plus 1, which as long as we roll at least an 8 here, we will take out Crazed Apostate 1. That's a 4 plus 1 is 5 damage, so Crazed Apostate is down to 4. Crazed Apostate 1 is down to 4. Okay, now Sabrina goes next. I don't think we can get Sabrina down there to heal. We probably should have moved up over here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. She's going to get back in and act as a meat shield, hopefully. That's the theory anyway. Crazed Apostate 12. Let's see what he's doing. He may be trying to run and hide here. I don't think he wants to get caught in another blast like that. 8 is going to move for tactical advantage and attack. He's going to try to get into cover of some kind. So he's going to move out of the blast zone. And he can aim from cover for anybody. So 1, 2, he goes after Adana with an Arcane Bolt. Actually, that was Crazed Apostate 1. What does his blood magic actually do? A blood wound spell. Let's see what that does. Oh, that's going to be under blood magic. Let's see. Blood wound. Major action. Oh. Make all the enemies within 12 yards of you boil. Okay. Yikes. Blood wound of a 17. So, let's see. So they've got 24 mana. Yeah, he's gonna try his blood magic. He's gonna try his blood wound with an 8 MP cost. He's used at least 3 arcane bolts plus now 8. So he's down to 7 mana. So we're going to try a target number of 17. Fortunately for us, he's got no magic bonus to speak of. That's a 12, so no hit there. That's fortunate for us. Then for Crazed Apostate 2, who's not down under 10 health. Alright, that's an 8, probably using its most powerful attack as well, moving for tactical advantage. He's going to stay put, though, and he's going to attack with his Arcane Bolt. He can hit anybody, so we're back to our same roll. That's a 2. Uh-oh, he's going after Adana. So a target number of a 10 to cast his Arcane Bolt. It's a 10, so of course we pass, and the dragon dies a 6. Which actually the 6 will be exactsies to take out Adana, even if she resists. So the target's spell power is a 10, which she resists, but again, it's not going to matter anyway. Because 1 plus 6 is still 7 damage, which means Adana has been taken out. So now we're going to have to retreat from combat. So yeah, we're going to end up retreating back to... Where's my pen? So we're going to have to get back on the boat once I find my pen. What did I do with my pen? Ah, here it is. So yeah, that's actually very problematic. So now we've got to get back on the boat. Driven back to Mage Tower. Okay, so that was a major problem, but that will do it. Well, that's what we'll call it, a playthrough of Dragon Age tabletop role-playing game. Definitely enjoy the story that's unfolding here. Now we've got a problem to sink our teeth into, as now we've got a group of apostates that are in Amaranthine. Now we should probably figure out, okay, what are they doing there? And the fact that we weren't even able to get into the city tells me that we've got a problem on our hands. So, driven out of Amaranthine. Okay, so that was catastrophic, but that's where we're going to end the video here. Going to be busy coming up on the channel. Saturday morning, probably when I'd normally be starting Mystical Munchies, so this will be about 8:30ish, I'm thinking. So about 8:30, we're going to be live with the 2001 Feature Game Selection Show. This is where I'm going to set up the ticker for my 2001 replay and payoff pitch baseball. And we'll set up the ticker and we'll select the feature games. We'll also have a baseball game stream, as I will be coming as my 2001 Feature Game Selection Show is essentially my comeback video, where I come back into my off-season content streaming schedule. So there will be a game stream that day. All I'll say right now is it's going to be baseball, but I'm going to hold close to the vest what the game actually is going to be. Sunday morning, we'll be continuing the fall camp. Actually, Saturday afternoon, Mystical Munchies will continue with Redo Month as we go back to the Dungeons & Dragons Flavors of the Multiverse cookbook to make the entree Rothy Steak. Sunday morning, we're continuing the fall campaign in B-17 Flying Fortress Leader by DVG. Next week, we're back into our background campaign of Hero Realms. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care.